Welcome to yet another class. I'm Dr. B, your science teacher online. Now today you and I we are going to be talking about preparing solution of 0.1 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid. And this is hydrogen tetraoxosulfate 6 acid. How do we prepare its standard solution? Remember that for acids and bases, we can always prepare their standard solution. Now this is quite a very difficult thing somehow for undergraduate students especially, and talk more of those in the secondary school. But it is good that right from your secondary school you should have an idea of how you can prepare standard solution, let alone a graduate from chemistry department. Alright, now follow me on this. Let us see how we can use a very simple step and relate to us how we can be able to calculate 0.1 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid and use it to prepare standard solution. Again, it's Dr. B Science Classes Online. If you go to YouTube, it's Dr. B Science Classes. Please share this class and ask your friends and colleagues as well to simply subscribe. Once you tap on the subscription bell, every time this video comes up, they are a part of it. Subscription is free, no one will charge them, so no one should be scared. Now they can leave comments even if it's questions or appreciation. If it's questions, we're going to attend to them. Also in Facebook is Dr. B Science Classes, so all they need to do is go there and follow. Like and leave your comments as well. Alright, now this is preparing sulfuric acid, preparing solution of 0.1 molar sulfuric acid, usually in white question papers and or also NACO, the National Examination Council questions. You see the practical question requiring you as a teacher or as a student to prepare standard solution and use it to perform titration activities or any other practical that will be given to you. Now sometimes you are expected to prepare 0.1 molar solution of an acid, either nitric acid or sulfuric acid or even hydrochloric acid. Sometimes you are asked to prepare 0.01 or 0.10 or 0.5 molar solution or even 0.1 0 molar solution, and in all this you can prepare them in a very simple way. It's just that you need to do a little calculation in order to get there. Now that calculation you need to do is what I want to take us through. Now, but before we go into this, it's important for me to let us know that there is a direct way of preparing standard solution, especially of 0.1 molar sulfuric acid, and there is indirect way. But usually it is the indirect method that is adopted. This is because of one, generally acids, concentrated acids are known to be very corrosive. They are dangerous, and handling them in a very soft way could endanger your life. So because of that, it is not always advisable to use a direct approach in preparing standard solutions. Now, again, you should also understand that hydrochloric acid, for example, is highly volatile. Once you open the container of hydrochloric acid, you see it escaping as fast as possible. And because of that, if you have to use a direct approach in your preparation, you may not be able to get the exact concentration. Again, sulfuric acid is hygroscopic. That is, it absorbs water from the atmosphere. So if it is possible for sulfuric acid to absorb water from the atmosphere, making it being hygroscopic, then it means that in the process of preparation, you might also not be able to get the exact concentration. Now, these are the reasons why using the direct approach in preparing standard solution is a problem. So the indirect approach is what we always adopt, and that is what I'm going to take us to right now. Okay, I want us to know that for 1 molar solution of sulfuric acid, okay, so know that, let's say step 1, for 1 molar solution of H2SO4, it's 98 grams. Of course, by calculation, 98 grams should be the molar mass of sulfuric acid. So for 1 molar solution of H2SO4, it's 98 grams. So what will it be for 0.1 molar? Which you are asked to do what? You are asked to calculate so that you can use it to prepare your standard solution. Okay, so we have that for 0.1 mole per dm cube solution of sulfuric acid is going to be 0.1 multiplied by 98, and we are going to have 9.8 grams. That is it. This is the simple approach. The indirect approach you can use to prepare 0.1 molar standard solution of sulfuric acid. So first you understand what 1 molar solution of that particular acid will give you. Then you go to what you are asked to determine. So now for 1 molar solution of every sulfuric acid is 98 grams. Now for 0.1 molar of solution of sulfuric acid is the 0.1 molar you are expected to determine. You are expected to use in preparing your standard solution multiplied by what? By the equivalent of 1 molar of that particular acid, and that gives you 9.8. So what next? It would have been simple for you to just use 9.8, which is the equivalent of 0.1 mole per dm cube, to just prepare your standard solution. But it doesn't work that way. This is because this value is in grams. Grams is not a measurement for volume. Remember that you are going to prepare this standard solution by dissolving an amount of the sulfuric acid concentrated in a distilled water per 1 dm cube. So if you have to measure in terms of volume to dissolve that in an amount of distilled water in a volumetric flux of 1 dm cube, that's 1000 mils, then you cannot use grams, because grams is not the equivalent for volume. That is why you need to get the equivalent of 0.1 mole per dm cube in volume. And for you to do that, you have to remember that for every sulfuric acid, there is a relative density. So we get the relative density for that. So 3, but relative density, okay, let me shift this down so we don't have problem jumping on this. So 3, but relative density of sulfuric acid is 1.84 grams per centimeter cubic. Now this is almost a constant value for every bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid. It is written there. Relative density of the acid is written there. It varies just a little bit, but more often than not, the relative density of sulfuric acid is 1.84 grams per cubic centimeter. Now, this will help us to be able to get 0.1 molar concentration or solution of sulfuric acid in volume equivalent and not grams, because this is already in grams per cubic centimeter. So in order to get that 0.1 mole per dm cube solution of sulfuric acid in centimeter cubic for volume, to be able to use it to prepare your standard solution, we are going to simply marry this and this. So we said therefore 0.1 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid of H2SO4 will be equals to 9.8, which is the equivalent in grams of 0.1 mole per dm cube, 9.8 grams, all over the relative density 1.84 grams per cubic centimeter. And if you divide this gram by this gram, you now have cubic centimeter. So it means that if we divide 9.8 by 1.84, we'll have a value which is 5.33 centimeter cubic. This is the value in volume of 0.1 mole per dm cube solution of sulfuric acid. So with this now, you can use your measuring cylinder, measure 5.33 mils of the concentrated sulfuric acid, and then you measure water up to about 900 or 850 mils in a volumetric flask of 1000 mils, and then you empty this quantity of acid gradually through the side of the flask into the water, and then you add distilled water to the graduation mark of that volumetric flask, and then you shake it. You have comfortably prepared 0.1 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid. You can use that to do your laboratory experiment as it were requested. Now that is a very simple way you can be able to prepare 0.1 molar solution. Now with this, which is the 0.1 molar solution equivalent in volume of sulfuric acid, you can also have 0.2 molar by simply multiplying this value by 2. If you multiply this value by 5, you have gotten 0.5 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid. You can use that to prepare your standard solution. It is as simple as this. So even in hydrochloric acid, you can easily calculate, you can easily determine in volume the equivalent of 0.1 mole per dm cube of hydrochloric acid and use it to prepare your standard solution in the lab. It is not a difficult thing. It's not something that you have to be scared of. It's not something that you have to be afraid of. It is something you must know as a chemist, as a science student, both in the secondary school and in the university. But unfortunately, most of the graduates we have can't even prepare standard solution because they cannot even first determine that particular quantity in terms of volume of the required molarity that is given to them. So you can see that today we have been able to do justice in a very simple way, being able to determine 0.1 mole per dm cube of solution of sulfuric acid, its equivalent in volume, which can be used to prepare the standard solution. Like I said, once you get this value, all you need to do is to get a 1000 mil or get a 1 dm cube, is the same thing, volumetric flask. Place it in a bucket of water. Put distilled water up to at least 800 or 850 mils inside that volumetric flask. Measure this acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, in this amount in your measuring cylinder. Turn it gradually through the side of your volumetric flask into the distilled water. Add distilled water again to bring it to the graduation mark. Shake it and keep it. You have been able to prepare 0.1 mole per dm cube solution of sulfuric acid, and that you can use to prepare or to carry out the experiments required of you in the laboratory. It's been a nice time having this class with you, and I'm sure that with these simple steps that have been taken,